Hey everyone, and welcome to our Q&A presented by Just Love. I'm your host Paula Jane, and I'm talking to Judy Carroll. Judy is an internationally known author. Her books include The Zeta Message, Human by Day, Zeta by Night, and her most recent book, Extraterrestrial Presence on Earth, Lessons in History. Welcome, Judy.
Hi Paula, hi everyone.
Today we will continue our discussion on the origins of humans on Earth. In our last episode, you said that the Greys are working with Earth-plane humanity. Can you expand on this? What kind of work are they doing with us?
The Greys specialise in working with universal life force energy. The whole universe is energy, as are all beings inhabiting the universe, and that includes Earth humans. Evolution in the human kingdom involves the speeding up and refining of our energy field. And we do this through living our lives in as clear and as spiritual a way as we can, and we also get help from higher beings. The universe operates in oneness, so when any planetary species is ready to evolve or ascend to a higher frequency level, other beings come in to assist the process.
Okay, that makes sense. And the fact that you have come here to assist in the ascension process as a dual soul. You are human by day and you work with universal life force energy through practices such as Reiki and Tai Chi.
Yes, this is my day job, and at night I work up on the ships. Up there, a lot of our work involves the adaptation of species to changing environments and includes assisting the evolutionary process. This involves soul energy when a planetary culture is going through an evolutionary shift, as is happening on Earth right now. The Greys could be thought of as the environmental scientists of the universe, but it goes way beyond physical science. It's science of the soul. Earth-plane humanity is going through a massive shift from fourth to fifth world consciousness, which began back in the 1940s and is still ongoing. It doesn't happen in a flash, as some believe. It's a slow, gradual process that abides by the laws of nature on planet Earth. It's a mind and consciousness process rather than physical, but physical genetics and DNA are involved, so higher assistance is required. The Greys could be thought of as a scientific team carrying out field work who need to dress in the appropriate gear, just as an astronaut has to wear a protective spacesuit or a deep-sea diver has to don special equipment. The higher beings need to place their consciousness into a suitable container or form to enable them to do this type of work. When the higher Greys step out of this form, they appear as an orb or a light body, and I've seen my teacher Maris this way.
Okay. So the Greys are coming here in their containers to carry out energy work involving the adaptation of species to the varying environments and to assist also in the evolutionary process. You also said that the Greys could be thought as environmental scientists. Does that mean that they are coming here physically to collect plants, etc.? Are they collecting these plants and whatever else to save them from extinction if anything does happen to planet Earth? Or are they doing this for another purpose altogether, or both?
Yes, they do come and collect plants and some other basic life forms, just as scientists on Earth do on their field trips. They've also set up a massive genetic bank for the safeguarding of life throughout the universe. I can recall doing this work as a Grey, and I think of this as a Noah's Ark project, so that if any planetary civilization ends up destroying itself, it can be restarted elsewhere. There's a great danger of this happening on Earth, the way things are going, with technology outpacing spiritual understanding and maturity, hence the Greys' ongoing presence here. They also take tissue samples from humans, animals and plants, as well as water and soil samples, to check on the effects of environmental issues on the planet, such as pollution.
Interesting. Sherry Wilde is a friend of yours, both here on Earth and up on the ship. Sherry has written a book called The Forgotten Promise, Rejoining Our Cosmic Family. Her story is a story of lifelong interactions with beings from another world. Sherry goes beyond the fear to find the meaning and purpose behind these interactions with these beings. Also in her book, Sherry speaks about being involved in the hybrid program. Can you expand on this program and what it means for humanity and for the people involved in it?
Yes, Paula, the hybrid program is part of this Noah's Ark project that I just mentioned, and it's been set up to ensure that Earth human life goes on, along with all the other creatures that share our planet. The hybrid program is actually intended to help two human species, modern-day humans and also a much older human species, the ant people, who were an earlier Earth-human grey culture. What happened with them was exactly what's happening with present-day humanity. They ended up destroying themselves and causing a planetary cataclysm in the process through warfare backed by technology that was beyond their spiritual capacity to handle wisely. On the soul level, they were so devastated by what they'd done, they then set about removing all emotion from their psyche. Now, a human culture cannot survive without the emotional component, so rebalancing is required. A similar thing has happened with present-day humans who express too much negative emotion in the way of fear, and in so doing are in danger of destroying themselves and their planet through warfare and environmental devastation. Through the hybrid program, balance is being restored to both cultures, with the best of both being brought together. The higher emotional component of unconditional love, coupled with positive technology that will heal rather than destroy. Esasani Zetas such as Bashar are a product of the hybrid program.
Oh, well, that makes sense when Basha says that he's from the future because he's a product of the hybrid program. Keeping in mind that everything is happening in the now moment. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. Time is an illusion of the lower frequencies of reality. In the greater reality, everything is in the now. It's like comparing travelling along a very winding river in a boat. You can remember where you've been and you can see just around the corner up ahead. On the other hand, somebody hovering overhead in a helicopter can see the whole river laid out beneath them. They can see you, where you've been and where you're heading all at the same time.
Oh, that's good. Judy, can you tell us what you do up on the ship at night? What does your role entail regarding the planetary shift? You are human by day and Zeta by night, and you're working tirelessly in your human form to educate and uplift humanity to a place where we can merge easily and peacefully into the fifth world or fifth dimension. And for that, we are eternally grateful. What is it that you do up there that you can share with us to help us understand what's really going on? You said that it's more of a mind and consciousness process than physical, but physical genetics and DNA are involved, so higher assistance is required.
Okay, a really good example of the work we carried out happened back in 2001 with the 9/11 event in America, with the terrorist attack on the World Trade Center. We always assist in such cases when people meet sudden and traumatic deaths. I usually don't bring back much conscious recall of our work involving such events because from the human perspective it's extremely traumatic.
Yeah.
And in fact, after the first night of work there, I woke up next morning with a really bad headache. On that occasion, I was helping one of our people who was new to this sort of work and who I also know down here in her Earth human form. So I needed to retain some conscious awareness so we could talk about it and debrief afterwards. In such cases as this, where victims are trapped beyond human rescue, they still never die alone and unaided. Our people, the Greys, were there, working alongside higher angelic beings. Our job was to provide comfort and healing, both to the injured people who were meant to survive and also to the rescue workers. The angels' job was to assist the dying over to the other side. I talk about this in detail in the Zeta message book. Up on the ship, I mainly do healing work as well as some teaching. One morning I woke with recall of training a couple of the small Greys to do laser surgery. I was letting them use my human body to practice on, and I woke the next morning with a perfectly straight cut about 6 centimetres long around the lower part of my right leg. It had been cauterised, so it was sealed very neatly along its whole length with little blisters, and there was no pain involved at all, so they'd done a really good job. On another occasion, I woke with a clear memory of removing an implant from the head of an Earth human male that had been put in by the controllers down here. When I'm down here, I feel really homesick for upstairs. Earth human existence is okay, but there's generally not the deep connection that we have up there.
Yeah.
Life on Earth is so competitive and there's not a lot of understanding of what true unconditional love is all about. Love on Earth is too often tainted with control, possessiveness, jealousy, judgment, etc. It's not that we don't compete with each other. Healthy competition is good for everyone, so we do play games and have fun. But the key word here is fun. Competition is always friendly, with plenty of light-hearted enjoyment and laughter. Watching sport down here and seeing how savage some humans get in order to win is totally beyond my comprehension. We play a lot of fun games and joke with each other. Some of the work that the Greys have to do in the way of soul rescue is pretty intense, so just like paramedics and other rescue workers down here, we keep ourselves balanced and healthy with a good dose of humour.
Thanks for that insight into your work as a Grey by night. Very, very interesting. I get goosebumps every time I hear your story on how you assisted in 9/11. And like you mentioned, you talk about that in your book, The Zeta Message. Another thing you highlight is that the preferred container is modelled on the insectoid Zeta reticulum form. What is the insectoid Zeta reticulum form and what does it look like?
Hard to say, isn't it? It's the classic form that people think of in connection with greys, the huge black eyes and very basic thin body. All greys tend to get lumped together under the Zeta label, but the Zetas are only one group of many.
Okay. So even though there are many higher universal creator-type beings carrying out work here on Earth, they all have to put themselves into a body, or what they term a soul container, to enable them to interact down here. So they can be from different places, but all look the same because of the soul container that they need to wear.
Yes, exactly. As I described in episode 30, other beings manifesting in grey containers are Sherry Wilde's teacher Dvir, who identifies himself as Andromedan, Valerie Barrow's Pleiadians, who are illustrated in their grey containers in her Alchiringa book, and Adrian Dvir's ET healer friend X3, introduced in Adrian's book Healing Entities and Aliens, who was identified as a Syrian and shown as a grey.
Okay, so Dvir is from the galaxy of Andromeda. Valerie Barrow's ET contacts and memories are from the Palladian star system, and Adrian Dvir's ET healer was from the Sirius star system. Would that be correct?
Yes, that's right. But the sad thing is, so many people down here, and this even applies to many new ages, automatically label the more Earth-human-looking ETs as good, and the not-so-human-looking ones, such as greys and reptilians, as bad. This problem stems from the fact that Earth humans have created God and the angels in their own image, modelled after the Nazi Aryan ideal of tall, blonde, blue-eyed perfection. But this is a myth. The really high beings prefer to use the grey form to carry out work on planets such as Earth. At the same time, these beings can tap into the image that Earth humans have in their minds of what they think an angel should look like, and will show themselves that way. Earth people create their own reality regarding this. Mars turned up one night in angelic form at a meditation group I was taking part in. He knew some of the group members would be scared of him as a grey, so he took on a form they'd feel more comfortable with. But when work is involved, and the grey form is more practical. So the first level of greys, the higher ones, can potentially be from any higher universal culture, right up to angels.
Okay, and what about the second level of greys that Maris talked about in our last episode?
Okay, the second grey group, who are a bit lower down the human ladder, are still operating through physical forms on physical planets. The main ones involved with Earth are the Zetas, based in the Zeta reticulum star system. There are a number of different cultures in this system, and all are insectoid humans as opposed to the mammalian-based humans of Earth. The Zetas are space travellers, and being insectoid-type humans, they're also deeply involved in working with planetary ecosystems. They carry out ecological work to help to maintain planetary ecosystems. Despite claims by people down here that they're not doing anything to assist, they are. If it wasn't for the Greys, Earth would be in a much worse state environmentally. The Greys work hand in hand with the elementals and could be looked upon as nature spirits.
When you say the elementals, are you referring to such beings as fairies and leprechauns?
Yes, the nature spirit kingdom, in other words. And in some cases, when people see these beings, it's actually small greys that they're seeing. The higher greys are actually part of the Devic kingdom, which goes right up to the angelic beings.
And what about the third level of greys?
Okay, these ones are the ones I call the ant people, and like all greys, they've evolved from insect species, generally ants or mantises. The ant people were a very early Earth human species who mainly lived underground. Being an early species of grey, they are responsible for developing and maintaining ecosystems on the newly created planet Earth. They had access to advanced technology and genetics passed down to them from their creator beings, ancestors, which enable them to do this type of work.
I know that you remember being an ant person, and I remember you telling me a story of coming up onto the surface and taking care of the ecosystems, creating beautiful gardens and getting the earth ready to be inhabited by many different creatures. Is this what you're referring to when you say that the ant people were responsible for developing and maintaining ecosystems on the newly created planet?
Yes, all the greys do this type of work. They could be looked upon as energy workers and the environmental scientists of the universe, and their work goes way beyond the physical level.
Okay, I know you haven't addressed the origins of present-day humans as yet, but it sounds like the Greys were involved with it because they were here as a very early Earth human species. Is that right? Are they involved in the origins of present-day humans?
Yes, all three levels of greys have been involved, but it's mainly been the higher ones, the mantid creator beings and the Zetas. The ant people were bioengineered by highly evolved mantid beings from insect species down here, just as modern-day humans were bioengineered by creator beings from a primate species on Earth. Remember, as Greg Braden says in his book Human by Design, humans of Earth differ from chimpanzees in only 2 chromosomes.
Well, what happened to the ant people who lived underground?
The ant people bred very freely and ended up overpopulating the planet. They also started experimenting with genetic technology which outpaced their level of spirituality. Warring between 2 separate groups occurred, with a situation arising that was a carbon copy of the present-day Earth human situation.
Who were the 2 separate groups?
They were just 2 groups of ant people, just as there are many groups of humans on Earth today. I'm not sure, but I think there was one group in the northern hemisphere and another in the south. Maybe these were earlier versions of Atlantis and Lemuria. The life I can recall as part of the species was in what is now Australia about 900,000 years ago.
Whoa. Oh my goodness, so much information to take in. We will continue in the next episode. Judy and I are looking at putting all of this info into a book one of these days. And speaking of which, Judy's books are available through Amazon and Kindle, or you can go directly through Judy's website, which will be included in the link below. And if you like this video, please share it with your friends and subscribe to this channel. Again, thanks Judy, and we look forward to our next Q&A session. Bye for now.